Cal Kestis, the protagonist of Star Wars Jedi, Fallen Order, and its sequel Star Wars Jedi Survivor, stands as a symbol of a resilient Jedi striving to survive in a galaxy shattered by the rise of the Empire. Throughout both games, Cal is challenged by loss, betrayal, and the brutality of the Empire, which pushes him to the brink on more than one occasion. While Cal strives to maintain the Jedi Code, a closer look at his actions and inner turmoil reveals several key moments where he taps into dark side tendencies. These actions serve as both foreshadowing and evidence that Cal could potentially succumb to the dark side in a future sequel. One of the primary driving forces for Cal's emotional struggle throughout both Fallen Order and Survivor is his desire for revenge. His early quest in Fallen Order is motivated by a personal vendetta against the Empire for killing his master, Jaro Tapal. While initially, Cal tries to remain focused on his training and the larger mission of restoring the Jedi Order, the loss of his mentor, combined with the brutality of the Empire, creates an emotional scar that is difficult to heal. In Jedi Survivor, Cal continues to grapple with his anger and the loss of his friends, which occasionally clouds his judgment. In key moments, he is seen exhibiting impulsive and aggressive behavior, a trait typically associated with dark side users. His interactions with other characters, such as the pursuit of vengeance against the Empire and the ruthlessness in dealing with enemies, show that his desire for retribution is something that could easily be exploited by the dark side. Throughout the Jedi Fallen Order storyline, Cal's interactions with the Holocron and the ancient ruins allow him to tap into powers that are not traditionally associated with the Jedi's teachings. In his training with the Force, he learns not just the light side techniques but also the darker ones. One significant moment occurs during his battle with Trilla Siduri, the former Jedi Padawan turned Inquisitor. In this fight, Cal's emotions boil over as he faces someone who, in many ways, mirrors his own journey. His ability to suppress his anger and fear during the battle is tested, but there are moments where he unleashes forceful attacks with a level of ferocity that is aligned with the dark side. By the time Survivor rolls around, Cal's deepening connection to his own rage becomes evident. His Force abilities, while still largely focused on defense and survival, begin to show flashes of brutality. In a potential sequel, his growing familiarity with such powers could lead him down a dangerous path, especially as the stakes continue to rise. A recurring theme in both Fallen Order and Survivor is Cal's deep isolation. After the fall of the Jedi Order, he finds himself alone, forced to navigate a galaxy where the light side is all but extinct. The crushing weight of isolation, combined with his own guilt and trauma, makes him vulnerable to the temptations of the dark side. This vulnerability is demonstrated in key moments where he makes decisions out of desperation or anger, disregarding the potential consequences. In Survivor, Cal's search for belonging and purpose intensifies. His interactions with other survivors, such as Sir Juanda, show that he is still trying to hold onto the teachings of the Jedi, but his inner struggle becomes more pronounced. The darker thoughts and emotions that he tries to suppress could easily become an overwhelming force, pushing him further toward the very path he seeks to avoid. The desire for power, control, and the need to stop suffering could all serve as entry points for the dark side. In both games, Cal is not entirely isolated from the larger political forces at play in the galaxy. In Survivor, the influence of the Empire and the remnants of the Jedi Order continues to affect his decisions. The introduction of more aggressive or morally ambiguous characters, such as the remnants of the Sith or those on the fringes of the Force, could have a profound effect on Cal's moral compass. A Sith Lord or dark side user could potentially manipulate Cal's insecurities and desires, turning him into a tool for their own purposes. The possibility of encountering a charismatic dark side figure in the future could further accelerate Cal's descent into the dark side. If the Emperor or another Sith sought to seduce him into their cause, Cal's past trauma, revenge-driven actions, and emotional isolation might leave him susceptible to manipulation. His struggle for identity and purpose could lead him to seek power and certainty in the wrong places. Finally, one of the most compelling reasons Cal could eventually fall to the dark side lies in the moral gray areas he faces. In Fallen Order and Survivor, Cal constantly faces situations where the right decision isn't clear. Whether it's deciding to trust a questionable ally or choosing the survival of his friends over a greater cause, Cal often makes morally ambiguous decisions. His actions suggest that he's not completely tethered to the Jedi Code or the light side of the Force. Cal's willingness to bend the rules for survival and success in the face of overwhelming odds indicates that he may not be as resistant to the dark side as he believes. His past trauma and unresolved grief continue to shape his decisions, and his willingness to go to extreme lengths to protect those he cares about may, in future conflicts, lead him to make choices that are distinctly dark side in nature.